What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter, not exactly, but we're finally getting ourselves caught up with Ayakashi Triangle, chapter 91, entitled Kanade. Now, the reason I was originally going to do the chapter 90 review as a two-parter, but the chapter 90 review had a lot to talk about, and I felt like, you know what, I can actually make this 3 separate videos, because sometimes, as you guys know, the Ayakashi Triangle chapters are a little fluff. They're 5 to 7 minute videos at best. The last one was a full-on review, so I felt like, alright, instead of tacking on 91 at the end, and I'm so glad I didn't, because now that I've read 91, there's a few small things to talk about, and I do really like this, because we're continuing the backstory of the original Suzu, who has all the memories of all 12 past lives, this being her 13th life. So, 1,000 years worth of reincarnation. I mean, it's weird the way they state it, because they say it's like over 1,000 years. It's like, yeah, but you only lived 17 times 13 of those, you know, so it's not really 1,000, you know what I mean? So, but anyways, point of the matter is, I know they're just saying the timeline, like, it goes back as far as 1,000 years ago and stuff. But anyways, so we pick up where Matsuri first met Suzu under the triangular torii gate, and she, of course, remembers, like, because Matsuri, of course, can see the Ayakashi and sort of like, hey, like, aren't you scared to be around them? And like, no, they're my friends. And of course, she's still traumatized by all the villagers coming after her, because Mai's situation is very, very recent in her mind. And Matsuri, of course, is just very, like, sparkly-eyed, like, you're really cool and stuff. And she's like, wait, what? You know, so it's the classic thing. It's the classic thing that everybody's afraid of me. I hate people. Everybody's evil. And it's like, well, I think your abilities are really cool, ghost girl. You know, that kind of thing. It's very classic. Happened many times in fiction. But I don't mind it. It makes sense for the context of the story. Makes sense for why the personality split. It makes sense for a lot of reasons. So, anyways, they just showcase them slowly going through, playing video games, learning about the world, being friends and stuff like that. The reason she got a haircut, apparently this is an old wives' tale or something, is that because the kanji, or the pronunciation in Japanese of hair and gods, is the same, people like to think, or at least back in the day, one of the superstitions was that keeping your hair long, because long hair leads to the path of the gods. So apparently I was wrong to cut my hair, and I'll have to tell my wife next time she wants to cut her hair, no, you're defying the gods. You know, I'll have to do that. But anyways, it's apparently a symbol of that, and yada, yada, yada. But then Matsuri said, I think short hair would also look pretty cute on you. So Suzu took this under, of course, advisement, and asked her mother to cut her hair. And she was just so happy. You know, of course, the mother's very happy because she's playing the part, but she remembers all the lies, which is very abnormal. So it's a very odd thing. So she had the short hair, and then basically says she didn't think that she needed to be the Ayakashi medium anymore, because along with cutting of my hair, I cut off my persona as the Ayakashi medium, so I could just spend time with Matsuri. Matsuri knew who I was, accepted me, blah, blah, blah. We both knew what Ayakashi were. It all seemed to work out. So actually, this fundamentally makes a lot of sense. It's actually reminded me a little bit of Rave, or Rave Master, in a very, and I don't want to spoil anybody, because I definitely think you guys should go read Rave. A lot of people haven't. It's a very, very good series. But in Rave Master, it's a similar idea where it's just like, okay, she basically cut off this side of her personality, because she's like, we don't need that baggage with us anymore. If I can actually just live my life like a normal girl for once, the modern age, I mean, why not, right? Like, why not give it a go? So this is her point, that she didn't give up on, she had given up on humanity, but then she met Matsuri, and as Matsuri points out and says, so the reason Suzu has never even gained a single one of the memories is because you took them all over and split your personality and locked yourself inside. So this is the Suzu right before she cut her hair. At the cutting of the hair was the time when she split her personality. So that's very interesting, actually. And then, of course, Suzu says, but I didn't think she'd grow up to be such a horny bitch. Like, that's basically what she's saying. Like, Jesus Christ, this bitch is horny. And then Shadow Mai tries to come in and say, hey, why don't you team up with me and stuff? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's an interesting development. Oh, shit, right? It doesn't end up happening, of course, because she no longer wants to destroy humanity, because she, as part of Suzu, remember, this version, meaning Mai as well. So, actually, in a weird way, Shadow Mai is always going to have some fondness in a way for Matsuri in a weird way, I like to think, because this Suzu, this is the original Suzu, but she's also all 13 Ayakashi mediums. And they all fell in love or had started to like or started to fall in love with Matsuri as a child. So that means Shadow Mai, all the memories, and the 11th and the 10th, and all of them ended up having a thing for Matsuri right before she cut off her hair and became Suzu. Now, Suzu full-blown fell in love. But this Suzu has a fondness for, which is sort of funny because she's technically still Mai. She's actually just as much Mai as Shadow Mai, so that's interesting. But she actually, like I just find that really interesting because she, of course, is always going to want what Matsuri wants because she's the original one who started to fall in love with Matsuri, and she's the reason that there's these 3 separate personalities to begin with. So I actually really like that aspect, and it also explains why Shadow Mai can't bring herself, like in certain instances, where she's sort of like, oh, like she's actually sort of like blushing with Matsuri and stuff. It makes total sense because when she had all her memories as a child, she still sort of was like, oh, Matsuri's not that bad. So if Shadow Mai is truly Mai personified into an Ayakashi, she still would have the same reactions and feelings towards the same person. You know what I'm trying to say? So you could argue that situations like if you met your wife or your husband or whatever in a totally different circumstance, you might not actually find them attractive. You might not fall in love with them, etc., etc. I like to think to be on the little bit of the romantic side that no matter what, if 2 people meet and they truly are in love, if they find each other again, they would fall in love all over again. In maybe a different way, but they would still end up that same way. I like to think that. That's just the romantic in me. But yeah, so anyways, they start running. They escape Shadow Mai. It's actually a very nice, it's a little bit of comedy. It's a little bit of fun. And then they're flying in the sky, of course, with all the ninja arts, and Shadow Mai is thwarted once again. But this is where Matsuri brings up a very good point, actually. Now, once again, I don't agree with all that. Like, I still think I hold to my point of chapter 80, 88, 89 having a big flip effect. And this is the whole purpose why little Suzu ended up running away in the first place, because I'm right. But Matsuri claims, and it's not a bad explanation, that the fact that Suzu is full of greed and desires and stuff is that it means that you like, I wish they had talked a little more about this. Once again, this is something you have to read between the lines. But because she separated herself from the 13th, and she's the Ayakashi medium, not Suzu necessarily, in a general sense, is that she can be full of greed and desires, because that means that after these 1,000 years of all your lives, she can finally just relieve all those years of frustration. She can just be a girl, sort of idea. And I wish they had dialogued it a little more to explain that, but that's the way I took from it. And actually, once again, like chapter 90, chapter 91 is looking actually pretty solid. Surprising. And in the end, Matsuri confirms that, don't worry, I am definitely a boy, because we can only have a proper relationship. See, Matsuri is now sticking to his guns, saying, we're only going to be boyfriend-girlfriend when I'm back to a guy. Until then, yeah, so she will not forget her goal. She will not forget her goal. I won't forget it. It's our goal. And I was like, all right, you know what? That's kind of nice. Giving Suzu some credit a little bit there. Maybe a little undeserved with how ruled she is by her hormones, but fair enough. And little Suzu believes in it and stuff, and basically says, you don't need to be, this is what I also like, that Matsuri basically says, you don't need to stay locked up all the time, by the way. You can come out once in a while. Like, you clearly are able to, like, come out and be a separate personality like Shadow Mai. It's okay if you want to come out and play once in a while. If you want to come out and hang out, that's fine. You don't need to hide yourself anymore. I mean, because you're basically saying, he says it in not so simple terms, but basically saying, you're the Suzu I actually first met. You're the Suzu I met and I started to like and crush on in the very beginning. So, of course, I like you too, in a weird way. So, I actually like the direction this was taking. it's really sweet. It's very romantic. It's very nice. It's a very wholesome sort of chapter in that regard. I actually really enjoy that aspect. And then Shadow Mai, or not Shadow Mai, little Suzu comes home and basically says, Matsuri's all right with it, but don't forget that Matsuri is a boy and needs to become a boy again. But I'm home and I'll stay with you again, sort of idea. And then says, then tells her to call her Kanade from now on. And she said, by our surname, like we're not going to call her Little Suzu or My Childhood Heart or Little Me or anything like that. We're going to call me Kanade from now on. And she says, by our surname, why? At the very end of the chapter, it's like that's a secret because this Suzu, the original Suzu, or the original, the Ayakashi medium, Kanade, also, like, because that's what, when they first met each other and stuff, of course, Matsuri referred to her as Kanade when they were growing up, and then called her Kanade just now in the adventures. So, actually a very wholesome chapter. A nice chapter, and some plot development happened, which is all I'm asking for. This little bit of plot progression. I like it. It's nice. It's wholesome. Chapter 91 was not bad, and I'm very glad that I decided to split this up into 2 separate videos because clearly there was plenty to talk about with both chapters. So, but what did you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below what you guys thought of this chapter. I think 90 and 91 are very much making up for the badness that was 89. Because 88 was good, 89 was trash, and then 90 and 91 have so far been progressing very, very nicely, I think. So, you guys let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, don't forget the fourth and most important thing is to love yourself, but also to drink responsibly, as always, as I always do. And we'll see you guys back here next time for Chapter 92, which we'll probably review today or tomorrow, and hopefully get that out before 93 comes out. So we're finally caught up with Ayakashi Triangle. I'm been very bad for that, but I've been very, very busy. You guys all know that from all my other videos, just painting and flooring and drywall and fence building, just too much stuff going on in the real world to be sitting at the computer desk. But yeah, that's my life story and I'm sticking to it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video and we'll see you guys back here next time. Bye-bye.